like, but it was fun. So we get off the ride, and I go, "Hey, Ma, when's the last time you did something for the first time?" And she's just looking at me like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." Yeah, we sometimes we get in our head about certain things of what could happen or what is. It's like the whole what if, should, could, what if, that doesn't exist. Like, it just doesn't exist. It's just something that we create. And so, when's the last time you did something for the first time? And that you're gonna apply that to literally anything.
Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Life Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Smith, and if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast. If you love this podcast, you want some more tips and tricks on how to improve yourself, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are a ton of instructional videos down below. However, before you go ahead and do that, I'd like you to stick around for a friend of mine that has an equally common name as myself, just in a different genre. Miguel Angel Sanchez.
Let's go. I'm running to the ring right now. We're about to box it out.
Absolutely. Oh, that's funny. I really enjoy that we came up with that little alignment of how our names are basically pretty much the exact same, but just two different genres of that. And it's celeb or not it's very common. But I think it's something that I find irony in is that both of our names are very common, but I believe ourselves to be very uncommon people.
That's it. Yep. That's it.
Beautiful. So, my friend, I have a kickoff question, and then we can go as we flow.
Run it.
How do you impact the lives of your personal and professional fellowships, the people that you make space for?
That's we're gonna start right there. That's
Yeah.
that's the first question.
Yeah.
It's not what's your name and where you're from, and I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a great first question. How do I provide impact, or how do I give impact, or what was the starting point?
How do you impact in general? So either of those, it's pretty open ended on it. You can flow with it. How do
Yeah.
you impact the lives of the people around you?
One thing that a code that I live by for me personally is be more human. So with my clients, and even professional and personal, I create a space that allows humans to be human. What does that entail? Being your authentic self, your emotions, your thoughts, your passions. Be who you are when you're in front of me or when you're near me. And that's what I want to embody, just the way I show up with my clients or with my personal friends and my family. I allow that opportunity for them to do the same. Be weird, be funny, be different, be the person that you truly are, not the one you put on a mask on. Almost subconsciously, almost like unknowingly, people do that when they go to their 9 to 5. When they show up in a different place, they feel like they need to put on this mask to adapt to whatever their circumstances is. I was like, nope, not with me. Be who you are. Cry, laugh, giggle, the whole nine. Be more human.
I like that. I think that that's a good thing to remind yourself of is with the positive or negative experiences, or you know what? I'm not even going to say positive or negative. I'll just say experiences. With the experiences that we get to have in this life, we find ourselves really molding to what we believe to be appropriate at the time rather than believing our human, like the human that we are, to be the top priority.
Mm-hmm.
So it's putting on the hat in comparison to just letting the hat be an accessory rather than making you who you are. And I think that's
Correct.
cool that you create space for folks to bring those good vibes, to bring that authenticity.
Absolutely.
Have you struggled in your story with bringing your own authenticity to the world in order to help create space for others to do the same?
Growing up, I did.
Mm,
Growing up, I did, and that's the reason why that's how I lead today. And yeah, there's been times too, even in the last 5 years ago, where or in the last 5 years, I'm sorry, where I do get kind of lost in the direction that I want to show up. Um, Natural human tendency of, am I being too much, or a little bit of that of imposter syndrome type of thing. But it's locked in now. It's like it's not an issue anymore. But yeah, but growing up, uh, unfortunately, my environment didn't allow me to be me fully. I always stood out. I've always looked different. I've always thought different. Um, Even to this day, I mean, even having conversations with my own mom, she'll tell me like, you know what, mijo, you think too deep. And so it's like I've always been very curious. I've always questioned things. And so as a kid, I didn't have that space to vocalize. I didn't have that space to truly express what I'm feeling. And so I'm grateful for that. As much as it sucked as a kid, I'm grateful for that as an adult, because it led me into this, again, deep hole of curiosity of like, why am I like this? Why can I do this? Why is it so difficult for me to do this? Especially the expression of feelings. And so that's something that I've been working on till this day. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a never ending journey, and I love it. Of how can I show up differently? How can I express truly what I'm trying to express when I talk? Yeah.
I dig that. What what draws you? I also love that your mom says you think too deep. And I honestly believe that in just my observation, where I was a deep thinker and then I decreased it to shallow thinking, and that would get me into more so trouble. And then I had to make a pivot back to depth of thought and thinking
Hmm.
deeply on mostly myself, which sounds really funny, but I think introspection and thinking about the characteristics that you both like and dislike, or you admire or you resent within yourself, is an easy way to really filter, or not filter, but uh, create the person that you want to be by understanding what you want to increase as a characteristic or decrease or reject entirely and adapt from that. I was saying, it's actually funny that you said that too. When Zach and I were chatting, I told him about my thought on character work. So how there's story
Mm.
work, there's work out, there's story work, work out. There is what's another one? Breath work. Why not
Yep.
character work?
Ooh. Yeah. Why
Right.
not?
So then we can break it down in that way and have that introspection. So then, like yourself, you can go from not bringing that authenticity to that authenticity. And then that's a development, that's a characteristic. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like the way you put that together. Yeah. Shout out to Zach. He's a man.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, he's good stuff. So I was telling Zach that I was chatting with you today as well, and very, very pumped that today's just a beautiful day of podcasting. And everyone's been good vibes. And he said that I should ask you about your journey with body work, fitness coaching, and mindset in particular. And so I will put the I'll allow you to have the floor, and you can interpret that however you wish. But he made a note of it, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Shout out to Zach. We literally just had this conversation. What's today? Saturday, Thursday, Thursday.
Oh
Um,
shit.
yeah. Because he was saying how he has there's a gentleman in his men's group that also does body work. So then he just asked me, it's like, what did you do, or what environment were you in to become or be where you're currently at? And in true fashion, I don't know how to answer questions at surface level. I can't just tell you, hey, I went to A and I ended up in Z. Um, so what started my journey, man, it goes back to I started working. My very first job, man, I was so fortunate. My very, very first job ever was at a Parks and Recs. I was so lucky. I don't know what I was getting into. And the funny thing is, I applied the last day they were receiving resumes. We was just so happened that we were at the community center and or senior center, and my mom was there to get us pictures for our passport. And 16 going on 17. She goes, "Oh, look, they're hiring. Cool. Let me apply." Think none of it. Apply. Fast forward, I got the job. I'm like, "Yo, this job is amazing." Working with kids. I got introduced into coaching basketball. That's my favorite sport. at 16, 17 years old, to the point where my supervisor was like, I don't care how you do it, but I want you to run the program. Like, I want you to get in. And I was like, let's do it. Let's run it. We went undefeated for like 4 seasons with my kids. It was amazing. But that was the starting point for my coaching and bodywork career. So that gave me the opportunity to think, hey, I feel like I can do this more. And
Mm.
so fast forward, my background as far as getting involved with sports therapy specifically, growing up, I was a problem child, not in the sense of disciplinary, more so I was always sick.
Mm.
um, Flu, fevers, you name it. And I have lower back scoliosis. And so there was always limitations. And so dealing with back pains, at one point at 17, I ended up in the hospital for back spasms. I was there for like 3 weeks. And so just going through those pain moments was the focal point of that breakthrough of understanding what direction I wanted to take my adulthood and my career. And so just being around chiropractors, being around physical therapists, it's like, all right, this is cool. And being a big basketball fan, it's like my mind started going. It's like I would love to be an athletic trainer so I can work with athletes. Be along, being the athletic trainer team for the Lakers, big Kobe fan. Like that's where my mind was shifting. Right. So then I decided to go to school. So I went to a specific program that's called sports therapy and rehab. And while I was there, towards the tail end of graduation, I got introduced to CrossFit. And so getting really into the sport, it ignited my competitive side again. And so I had the opportunity to do my body work there while being a member. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, I can put these two together. I can become a coach for fitness while my body work, and then I can grow something from there. Because I didn't want to continue school because school is expensive, and I was putting myself through school. So um, I just want, how can I still follow that direction that I wanted to go? And so from there, I mean, it was, my curiosity just kept pushing me. It went from being at one facility to, at one point I moved across the country to Florida, and I was managing a gym, doing my body work there. Came back to California, then down to San Diego. And so being exposed to different rooms, being exposed to different types of people as far as style of training, style of modalities for body work, uh, all that just then created this custom approach to, let me help you get out of pain, let me help you get stronger, let me help you get out of your own way, especially when I tell you I know what it feels like to be physically limited, and you can improve your current situation. And I'm thankful, thanks to God, like I've been able, and it's like it gives me the chills because just yesterday, and I'm going to rant, just yesterday one of my clients from
Rant
back in
away,
San
my
Diego
friend.
one of my clients from back in San Diego called me yesterday. I was with the family in California Adventure, but we've been playing phone tag. We haven't been able to reach each other. So this young man, he's in his late 60s. He came to me. He came to the gym that I was part of in San Diego, and he's like, "Hey, I need help. I want personal training, but just know that I have no cartilages in my knees, and it's bone to bone. It's really hard for me to get out of my car. It's really hard to get out of bed. I need help." Went through my assessment with him, did a couple sessions. Fast forward, we worked together. He went from barely moving to deadlifting 200 plus pounds, planking for like 5 minutes plus. It was such a great opportunity for us to work together. I even hired a videographer and we did a nice little video. I have it in my archives. I'm gonna put it all over my social media again. But he called me yesterday, and to this day we keep in touch. I mean, we haven't seen each other in almost, I want to say, 2 years. And the last time I worked with him was about 3 years ago. To this day, he goes, I'm forever grateful for you. He tells me, you taught me how to use my own body. You taught me what I'm capable of. Because of you, I'm working. Because of you, um, I'm able to push past limits. Sometimes I get in my own head, what I'm capable of and what I can and can't do. And no, I always think about, what will Coach Miguel tell me? What will Coach Miguel say? And it was such a great conversation. And he called me because he's moving. He's going to San Diego, Texas. And I told him, I might be in Texas in January. We got to link up. But things like that is like are incredible reminders of why I do what I do, why I'm here on this earth in the first place. Going back to when we first started talking, bringing the human out of the human, essentially. Uh, and that adventure, that journey of where I started, going to Florida, going to San Diego, all that stuff. It's like there's been points in my career, my journey, where I lose track of everything that I've done, because I've never, the way I was raised, it was one of those things where you're supposed to be doing that. Like
Mm,
there's no praise for little wins, none of that. No, it has to get done. You're supposed to do that. And so it's been a journey even in itself, healing that part of me and my upbringing where it's okay to clap for yourself. It's okay to I finally this year for the first time I put my degree up on my wall. I had it somewhere in the closet because it's one of those things where like you're supposed to be doing that. And so with learning and healing and understanding a lot of things about myself and a lot of things about what I do for people and what I do in my career, it allowed me to be like, no, man, you worked hard for these things. Like I'm looking up at my certifications, I'm looking at my degree right now. Like it's right here next to my office, and it's like, no, man, you create impact. So keep doing it.
mm.
Yeah.
A question that I really like. I actually had a conversation with my buddy Jesse during a workout, and something that's interesting mm, is the difficulty in accepting as well as giving um appreciation or compliments.
Hmm.
So I believe that there is an art to it where many folks will have someone compliment them or just acknowledge a success or just say, wow, it's so cool that you were able to accomplish this, right? And many times, and this is just what I observe. So let me know what your thoughts are on this as well. And then I think I can follow that up with a pretty sweet question. But uh, what I think is when someone compliments us or shows appreciation or admiration for what we just did, we kind of wave it off. It's like, oh, it's nothing, right? And when
Yep.
we say it's nothing, our unconscious is going to take that. It's going to be like, I guess it is not anything worth remembering at all. And and another thing that I believe that many people don't realize is those times when we do want that admiration, we have conditioned other people to not compliment us or
Yeah.
recognize our admiration
Yeah.
because what our behaviors is what like trains other people. So if I if I did something that I'm really proud of, and then someone acknowledges, oh, that was awesome that you did 100 episode recordings in 1 year, which I'm totally on, and I fucking am stoked.
Let's go.
Yeah, buddy. And so taking that, so instead of saying, oh, it's nothing, putting my hand on my heart and saying, I receive your celebration. I receive your admiration.
Compliment.
Receive your compliment. I'm grateful for your words. Things
Hmm.
like that, right? So then we're not just going with it. And another thing within the idea of giving and receiving, oftentimes what we desire the most is the very thing that we should give. So if
Hmm.
we desire admiration, appreciation, and recognition of our value, then
Give it.
give it. And then that way it's like, oh yeah, I'm someone else is getting recognized because it feels good to compliment or it
For
feels
sure.
good to be loving. It feels good
Correct.
to be joyful. It feels
Yep.
good to be compassionate. It
Hmm.
feels good to be a whole bunch of these varieties. And oftentimes we wait for other people to do it first before we allow ourselves permission to do it for ourselves. And
Hmm.
that puts us in a really weird funk where we are wanting something, but also not giving ourselves permission to accept it. And with where, what was the difficulty in surrendering to your appreciation when other people recognized your your work and you may have been resistant to accept it? How have you been able to pivot that?
Ooh. Sheesh. How much time do I got to think? I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm in no rush.
When did I pivot? Oh man, that's such a great question. When did I pivot? At this moment, I can't necessarily pinpoint a very specific. time frame. I just know that before it clicked for me, I know I was in a down spiral of, am I good enough? Am I truly capable of what it is, what I do and what I can do? And something shifted where it was like, nah, man, I am that guy. I am him. Like the kids say nowadays, I am him. Like I walk the walk and I talk the talk. And the reason why I can back that up, because I reflect a lot, man. And I'm very grateful. I feel like I got the awareness from my mom. It's like, I don't know if it's a genetic thing, but she's so good with intuition, and um and if I have it amplified where I'm sensitive to certain energies, and now at 32 years old I can read it better, but before it was so hard to understand what's happening. But um man, that's such a great question. I can tell you my most recent influence though,
Mhm.
um being able to tap in with the enlifted community has definitely amplified that aura, that energy for sure. And having those deep story conversations with even Mark England, um, shout out to Mark, such an incredible human being. And that has helped amplify it. And I mean, I do a lot of self reflection. I write a lot where I try to understand and also remind myself. That's like a key thing for me. I have to
Mhm.
remind myself of what I've done, of the conversations, and especially those reminders when I get those, going back to those compliments, and people just sharing kind words and doing things and saying things for me. That helps. And it's like, okay, I'm doing something right. So that
Absolutely.
helps me pivot and shift versus, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know if that helps answer the question.
It was fantastic. It was open ended.
Yeah,
You could have
yeah.
flown with it with her
We
wherever
can't,
you
yeah,
wanted. I
it can
just
keep
want
going for sure.
I just wanted to satisfy a curiosity. I
No, I love it.
was
I
like,
love it.
that's an interesting
That's
one.
no, that's such a good question. And then what does help too is just like you said, when I show up for people, when I show up in my environment, I don't shy away from letting people know that they're important. I do not shy away from it. Before I would get in my head, it's like, man, should I say something? Like, no, I don't. No, second thought, hey, I just coached the class. Great effort. I'm sure you had a long day. You had this 1 hour. I'm glad you're here. It, or even my colleagues is like, hey man, you're great at what you do. Like I don't shy away from that, and I'm not going to. I'm gonna continue. We're just surrounded by such negative, whether it be social media, the digital world, whether it be you go into the store and just people, sadly they've created these scripts in their own head where they're just repeating these stories. And so why not be the difference? Like switch it up. Yeah.
That's where you allow your that's where you are the space that allows other folks to be able to bring that. Mm.
Yep.
If so given that last little chunk on compliments and taking compliments and receiving compliments or and giving compliments, just compliments in general.
Yep.
If you were to come up with, and this is definitely going to put you on the spot, if you were to come up with a step-by-step play of the art of taking and giving a compliment, what would those steps be? We can go with one at a time. If it's coming to
Man,
giving uh, to taking a compliment.
I would say first step is start with you, yourself, right? The power of writing. So whether you're looking yourself in the mirror or you have a notebook in front of you, write down the things that you like about yourself. Start there. Because I'm very, very sure that for the most part, everyone's so critical about themselves that it's easy for them to say what they wish they could be or wish they were different about themselves. I can guarantee it. simply because it's like I'm human and right. So I understand that mental shift. So I would say start with you, then write down the things that you like about yourself. Then write down the things that people like about you. I remember I did an exercise. I went to a two brain seminar, which is a company that helps gyms and coaches in the fitness space. And the creator of Exos was there. I forgot her name, but she challenged everyone in the audience. She goes, text 10 people and ask them to describe you in 3 words, something along the
Mm,
lines. Text 10 people in 3 words. So I did the exercise. So send it out to 10 people, every single one, send them out. I even created a list and I have it saved in my notes. And it's such a beautiful thing to see what people really think about you. Because you don't normally ask those type of questions, right? So sometimes like for me, I can say that back in the day, I would think, why would I ask that? Like, that's gonna either feed my ego or, um, I don't need to hear that stuff, right? So it's like, no, we gotta again flip it. Start with yourself. Write down the things you like about yourself. Ask close friends and loved ones what they think about to describe you in three ways. Um, I feel like that would be the top three like the recipe points for that as far as compliments go.
nice.
You start there, and it'll become something you're used to versus something being very foreign.
Mm, nice. That's
On the
good.
spot, on the
Yeah,
spot. Let's
buddy.
go.
Dude,
One
that
take,
was
Drake.
freaking solid. Yeah, exactly. I should have had the beat going for those bars.
One take, Drake, baby. I'm gonna write down
That's
that
cool.
recipe for myself right now and put it up on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it would be, it's like, yeah, yeah, I could see that. I could see that really impacting people where they get to have, because people are also very willing to give some good vibes, like to offer up like a good, like offer up good quality and characteristics, right?
Hmm.
I think that the people that we spend time with, oftentimes we are friends or we have a group of friends or we're like hanging out with each other because we know we see characteristics and traits that we see within ourselves that are positive. We don't want to, or
Yep.
even negative. It could be either or, right? It could be it could be somewhere along those lines. And so
Yep.
so oftentimes, or this is just observation now, if or before I would be in the groups, but there would be less of the compliment giving, but there would also be no like bickering. So it'd be kind of neutral,
Hmm.
right? But then recently, I think a lot more of the peeps that I hang around with, and even the peeps that I've been hanging out with for like a longer duration of time, we've become more and more complimentary of each other's successes. So now
Hmm.
having the filter where it's both new people and then folks that I've just known for a while, and then both of them are well integrating, that's the one part, but then also really recognizing wins is pretty darn cool. Is a pretty cool
It
place
really
to
is.
be. Because then like it's like that saying that the um rising tide lifts all ships. And
Hmm.
there's another saying, I forget how it goes, but it's like the birds of a feather flock together, something like that.
Something along the lines. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
I caught
really
that
like
drift.
that because there's like collaboration and there's community, and that's where we find ourselves the strongest. I was actually listening to, I had this fellow on my podcast too. His name is Brian Buendia, and he has a YouTube channel called Comic Book or Comic Breakdown. And so
Mm.
he goes through the comic books and he just like breaks it
Breaks
down.
it
So
down.
instead of me going out and purchasing and then having to sit down and read it myself, I actually watch his videos while I'm doing something like cooking. So I
Okay.
get to, so I purposefully do that
Two for
because
one.
that feeds into my like childlikeness, like my childlike interest, because that was something
Love
that was
that.
very prominent. So then if it's like shutting down the brain and then also doing like cooking, then I'm also watching this breakdown. Anyways,
Being in the
uh
moment. No, that's cool.
right. So one of the ones that he did recently was an X-Men one, whereas the Fall of X, and it's pretty sweet. But it was a Wolverine specific one where he teamed up with Spider-Man. And for this comic book line, he had an epiphany during this comic book where uh he realized how much stronger and how much better of a person he was when he was around the people that also lifted him up. So
Mm.
he was like solo Wolverine, like solo Logan. He's like, I gotta go do this Clint Eastwood style, gonna go and like
Lone
mess
wolf.
shit up. Yep, exactly. And then he would like team up with people along the way, but he was a little bit more resistant to accepting other people's company because he
Hmm.
believed that he had to accomplish this thing by himself.
Hmm.
But he realized in this particular comic book, and I watched it probably yesterday, I think, that when he's by himself, he's not the worst of himself, but he's also not the best of himself.
Best.
He is just kind of in the middle, right? He's still slaying it, but he's still in the middle.
Damn, that
And then
resonates so much.
right? And so then he realized in this one where he's like, I've just been a dumbass. Like, why is it that I have not been accepting this collaboration with other people that care for me and actually bring out the best? Because
Yeah,
he's seen the best of him when he was hanging out, and then he was all right solo. And I think that that's yeah, that was a little tangent on
I love it.
what popped up after we were talking about that.
Yeah, no, I love it. And no, my mind went in a couple directions as well. Um, they someone asked me yesterday, how you doing? I always respond with I'm great. I never say good or okay. I'm great. And sometimes I just throw so like phenomenal. I'm phenomenal. Like
Mm.
I'm another day in paradise. I have a great support system around me. Like I am living the life. And I mean it. Like that's like I'm being for real. But even with the gentleman that I told you that he called and we talked yesterday, how you doing, Mr. Rich? That's his name. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, just okay. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm great. I'm great. I was like, okay, cool. It's like I want to make sure that again, people have an opportunity to switch it up. And it's okay sometimes if we're not okay, right? But just switch it up. But I was thinking about again with the whole support system, which is like it's huge. We all have it, but sometimes again, we get so caught up on what we're doing and we're in our own little bubble. I can do all that by myself. I can do this all by myself. And then all of a sudden it's like I'm a little lonely or maybe I can hang out and reach out. It's like understand that we have the accessibility to do that whenever, right? So there was this one specific mastermind call where there was one person on that call that just felt overwhelmed, and that person was feeling like there's no one there to help. And the main coach that was in charge of the call was like, "Are you sure about that?" I was like, "The people on this call are there for you. Really think about when you say that." And sometimes we say that because we're just so caught up in that stress and we're just caught up in that story that we don't allow ourselves to breathe. But every single one of us, right? I think I was talking to David Chops, and he was saying how like you like really think about it. I'm sure right now on your phone you have someone you can call to crash on their couch if you really needed to. Like think about it. Like yeah, we all have a support system, and sometimes we fall guilty of thinking we need to go about this life by ourselves. And I'm guilty of that. That's something that I struggled in my 20s. I got to figure this out by myself. I'm afraid to ask for help because then I have to like I don't know, they're gonna ask something in return, or I don't know. There's just all this weird stuff pent up inside, and then now it's different. My mindset is completely different. Like, listen, man, I'm gonna give you a lending hand because that's just human being human. I'm not asking anything in return. You need the help, you need a listening ear, let's do it. Vice versa. Like, let's just be more human. Going back to that at the end of the day, right? So we all have that support system. And so you sharing that, like it just shines light on that, where we go a lot further with the community, with a group, with people.
Damn. That was good. That was great. It's good stuff, man.
Absolutely.
Freaking love
This is
that.
fun.
Right? Yeah, it's a good time. Like it's so interesting because I find I think the conversations have been uh fantastic where what I've been doing is kind of the same thing what you're talking about, but just creating the space to be able to have someone just drop their knowledge bombs and then speak on their experience and kind of just showcase the work that they've put into themselves. And I think that that's That's like a little pivot or a little realization that I'm really thinking of, and I'm like, fuck, this is cool shit.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, amazing, man.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, when we're thinking about this stuff, sorry, I'm just
go for it.
going into my mind again. Just like even that of being curious, right? For me, when I really deep dive into my own thinking, I was like, man, there's so many things to experience in this world. So many things from feelings to interactions. It's like I feel like I haven't tapped in enough, you know? So yesterday we were in California Adventures, and the first ride we got on was a roller coaster with my brother, but we were trying to convince my mom to get on. And she was like, "Nah, I'm scared." And I was like, "Oh, come on now, we ain't come out here and not gonna get into." So anyway, I didn't press her. So then my brother somehow convinced her to get onto this ride. I think it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. It's literally you're sitting down. It's an elevator. So you the little thing is shooting you up and down. And so my brother's just trying to be like nonchalant. It's like it's just an elevator. It's an easy ride. So, so we're in there like she was scared, like gripping my hand and like, but it was fun. So we get off the ride and I go, "Hey, Ma, when's the last time you did something for the first time?" And she's just looking at me like, "Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, we sometimes we get in our head about certain things of what could happen or what is. It's like the whole what if should could what if that doesn't exist. Like it just doesn't exist. It's just something that we create. And so, when's the last time you did something for the first time? And that you're gonna apply that to literally anything.
Hmm.
Sorry, that's where my mind went with the last thing we said.
Nothing to be sorry about, dude. That was absolutely fantastic. Uh, that'll definitely be the spot that we'll close this episode out with, because yeah, that was beautiful. It was also an awesome share.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was beautiful and an awesome share, because it could be beautiful and not a good share too. Yeah. But
True.
it was a good share. It was a good
Hit him
share.
with the combo. Hit him with the combo.
Yeah. So the preemptive question before the final two, is there anything that has to be said that hasn't been said?
Dang, how long did it take you to come up with these awesome questions?
Sometimes they just come to me, dude.
This is great. Is there anything,
You just gotta surrender to listen.
man? On the last podcast that I was on, something that was resonating, something that just kept coming into my mind was that of sharing your light. I strongly believe that every human on this earth has light to shine. It's the concept is that simple, but I do understand that it's difficult because it does take some deep diving and understanding who you are and why you're here. Everyone has something to give. Every human on this earth is here to serve, and that looks different for everyone, but it still comes down to serving. Every time you hop on, like, on YouTube or whatever you're watching, and there's that question of what they want to do, even if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, always goes back to, I want to help people. Always, always. So understand that you, if you're listening to this, you have that light. You're well aware of it, but sadly, it's being suppressed by your environment. Take time to understand what that light looks like for you and go all in on that light. I remember watching that video, Eddie Murphy, and he put things into perspective. He goes, "You got, what do you say, 60 or 70 years to live?" He's, "Oh, let me break this down for you. You got 70 more summers left. You got 70 more winters left. Now that you understand that you have a exact number left, what are you going to do with your time?" I was like, that hit home. When you put it down like that, you got, let's just say 50 summers left, 50 summers left. What are we waiting for? Like, let's do something about it. Versus 50 years. Or 50 years, it's like, oh, it's a long time. Like, not really. Like, not really. But it is. But let's maximize the time. All right. Maximize it by sharing your light.
Mm, I like that. Nice. Yep. Maximize it by sharing your light. I'm writing it down.
Every every time every time I go on tangents, it's like in my mind it goes back to that kitchen where my mom goes, "Mijo, you think too deep."
That is okay.
Woo-wee. No, I know it's okay.
First,
It's just it's funny to me.
that's fair. First of the final two questions, my dude. And I'm very excited to for in this conversation, that last
Yep.
one, is there any things that has to be said that hasn't been said? It feels like I really got to ring out the knowledge bombs before dropping these two on you. So it's like, so I'm excited to see what pulls out of it, but they're very introspective. So I'm excited to experience your depth of reflection. So, setting the context. It's the end of your days. You're on your deathbed. You're
Oh God.
surrounded by the people that you care for. No content exists. What piece of advice do you want to pass on before you kick the bucket?
What a segue. There's no content. What piece of advice do I want to leave behind? I'm on my deathbed.
Yep.
Man, that made my gut hurt. Because I think about so I'm a big rap and like neo soul genre music fan. Huge, huge, huge. J. Cole's one of my favorite musicians and artists, and he has this song on his Friday Night Lights mixtape called "Farewell." It's pretty much his eulogy, or like a pretty much written out, and it's an amazing song. It's like, when I pass, what are they going to remember me for? And it's like he's going between the contrast of like good or bad. I was a liar, or I was a saint. Like he's going back and forth. It's an amazing song. And so when I go through my experiences, I think about that a lot. What am I leaving behind? What are people saying? What are the people thinking, right? And there's two mantras that just felt like me and what I bring out to people that I've created. In my 20s, the mantra was get your mind right.
Mm.
Uh, Um, Shift it whenever the negative talk, circumstances, like just shift it, get your mind right. I was competing Olympic lifting, and barbell scares me because it's heavy. Get your mind right. Like now, the mantra is stay in motion. The moment you stay stagnant, everything else also stays stagnant. The moment you create motion, things flow, opportunities happen. You keep moving, the things fall into place, sometimes even better than what you expected. And so, the last piece of advice in my deathbed, dude, I'm getting teary.
Awesome.
Man, I'm staring at this poster I have in front of me. It's defining the Mamba mentality. Because I think about that day too when I found out where Kobe passed. And oh, man, the last piece of advice. Oh, man.
Oh yeah, I'm giving you the floor, man. I could stay quiet for a while.
My gut goes back to the way we started this conversation. Continue to be more human. Just as simple as just continue to be yourself, like the real you. Continue to be yourself. Just continue to be more of that, more loving, more creating, more creative. Continue to be you. That's just continue to be you, because when you're being you, again, you allow your environment to be themselves as well. Continue to be you. Non-stop chills right now.
Good
Like the
vibes,
real
man.
you. The real you. Man, oh man. Whew.
You ready for the last one?
This is such a great episode. I'm gonna replay
Yeah, man.
it so many times.
Yeah. Feeling the good vibes for sure. The best version of you is sitting next to you right now. What piece of advice does he have to give you for this season of your life?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. And this is something that almost on a daily I think about. Where I tell myself, dude, imagine you were 100% that. Like you, like I'm human. I get tired, and I have certain habits that I'm breaking, or I'm trying to completely either get rid of or change. And so I've seen both sides where I'm not being my best self, and then I kick myself about it, and the shame, and I can't be my full potential because like I have this side of me, you know, just to kind of give you some insight of what happens in my brain. But then there's that other side of like, dude, this is you, like at your at your best. Obviously, it's never 100%. We're human, we're tired and whatnot, but this is you, like, dude, Matt, imagine who you could be, what you're becoming, and then you can amplify that. You know how powerful that is? You can start creating even more impact in a different way. So me just saying that out loud, that's what that guy's telling me right now. That's exactly what he's telling me. It's like, yo, that best self? Yeah, do that more often. Because you know what that brings. You know that feeling. And if you would ask me, or I would ask myself, it's like, don't you want to feel that more?
Mhm.
That euphoric feeling of you being this passionate human being, of creating space for people where they can be their best selves as well. Yeah, do that more.
Cool. That was awesome.
Dude, this is fun.
Yeah, I'll have you on again at some point. It'll be great. Sweet.
Turn up the
Well,
heat with those questions.
right, I try. I try. Well, Miguel, my dude, that's what I've got for you in today's episode. Where can people find you?
Yeah, keep it simple, man. Instagram, it's underscore Miguel Angel Sanchez. for, for my Mexicans and my Latinos, Miguel Angel Sanchez.
Awesome. So good. Shit.
You already know.
Yeah, that's so good. Man, every time that I think of your name now, I'm gonna be like, wow, that's just like I resonate with the popularity of that name, Kyle Brian Smith, Miguel Angel Sanchez. It's like,
The
oh
simplicity.
shit. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Never forget, but there's only one of each.
So you know.
Yeah. Well, folks, if you love today's episode, which I don't know how you cannot, and Miguel, before I actually close out on this one, I just want to
Yeah,
say keep thinking deep.
it won't stop
Wide and shallow doesn't make for such good conversation.
at all.
Amazing. Well, if you love today's episode, folks, please do me a favor right now. Take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me with my handle at DabberDudeKyle, along with at underscore Miguel Sanchez, Angles, fuck, Miguel Angel Sanchez.
You're
That
good.
is one of the ways that we grow. And until next time, keep up the kindness, and I hope your day treats you as good as you look.